Welcome to World Explained. Picture your neighborhood for a second. What if the solid homes you see every day are just wearing costumes? What if the very fabric of our modern streets, the heavy walls that supposedly shelter us, are actually nothing more than a carefully constructed multi-billion-dollar illusion?
I want you to imagine driving through almost any American neighborhood built after 1980. You know the exact ones I'm talking about. You look out your window and see those perfectly uniform facades, the neat rows of identical roof lines. They look like absolute castles of the middle class. But I want you to look closer. Beneath that surface, these factory-made, snap-together homes feel fundamentally different from the heavy stone and brick structures of the past, don't they? If you've ever walked through a modern subdivision while it's being built, the houses feel strangely light. They feel as though with the right tools, a determined construction crew could take the entire thing apart in a single weekend. We are literally living inside an architectural sleight of hand. But to understand the massive trick that was played on all of us, we have to rewind the clock. We have to go back to a time when houses weren't just rapidly assembled, they were forged.
Section 1. The Age of Permanence. When homes held their own weight. You really have to understand the sheer, undeniable contrast in physical reality here. Let's travel back to the 1930s, walking through the working-class streets of cities like Chicago, Baltimore, or Philadelphia. If you walk down those sidewalks, you could literally feel the sensory weight, the pure seriousness of the structures around you. They were built out of hand-laid, dark red structural brick, and I don't mean a decorative skin. I mean massive, 12-inch thick walls that carried the entire immense weight of the house directly down into the earth. Now, these weren't mansions, not at all. These were modest, maybe 1,200 square foot homes, sheltering massive, bustling immigrant families of 5, 6, or even 7 people. But here is the most profound part of this era. The people who laid those bricks, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew they were building something that would outlast everyone who would ever live in them. They weren't just building a quick shelter. They were constructing 200-year legacies. But then, the entire world broke, and our timeline shifted forever.
Okay, let's dive into this turning point, because it happened with a speed that is genuinely terrifying. The year is 1945. World War II finally ends, and suddenly, a staggering 12 million soldiers return home from the battlefields. Think about that number for a second. 12 million young men who have survived the unimaginable. And now all they want to do is start their lives. They want to get married, they want to start their families, but they need a place to live and they need it immediately. This wasn't just a sudden spike in the housing market. This was a massive, desperate national emergency of unprecedented scale.
The federal government rushed to run the numbers, and the estimate they came back with sparked outright panic in Washington. They were facing a shortage of 5 million homes. 5 million! The reality on the ground was incredibly grim. You had young couples, the very same veterans who had just bled to save the free world, practically camping outside in the freezing cold. They were huddled in makeshift shelters, living in converted streetcars or grain silos, just hoping for a fleeting, impossible chance to buy a house. The entire nation was holding its breath, waiting for a savior, or, at the very least, waiting for a brilliant engineer.
Section 2. The Levittown Assembly Line. 16 minutes to build a home.
And this brilliantly illustrates the mind of a man named William Levitt. Levitt was a builder who looked out at 4,000 acres of flat, Long Island potato fields. And he didn't just see a quiet housing development, he saw a factory without a roof. He realized you absolutely couldn't build 5 million heavy, traditional brick homes fast enough to solve the crisis. It was mathematically impossible. So what did he do? He ruthlessly applied Henry Ford's automobile assembly line directly to human shelter. He broke down the incredibly complex construction of a house into an unyielding, hyper-efficient 26-step process. But instead of the house moving down a conveyor belt, the workers did. One crew only poured concrete slabs all day long. The next crew only framed walls. The next only installed plumbing. They moved mechanically from plot to plot, churning out 10 to 12 brand new homes every single day. Stop and think about that. A completely new house was finished every 16 minutes. It was a marvel of modern efficiency, an absolute game changer. And it was the signed death warrant for traditional brick.
Levitt's homes were incredibly cheap to build, and, to his credit, he passed those savings directly along to the desperate veterans. For exactly $6,999, with absolutely zero down payment thanks to government-backed mortgages, a young family could own a brand new 4-room house. But here's the fascinating psychological part. Levitt didn't just sell the physical houses, he sold a powerful, irresistible narrative. He deliberately marketed these light, grassy, wood-framed homes with their private driveways as the bright, optimistic space-age future of America. And in doing so, he subtly framed the heavy, dark brick row houses of the cities as dirty, crowded, obsolete relics of the past. The grand illusion was taking root. The American public was sold a brand new dream, and millions of people bought in without a second of hesitation.
Section 3. The Vinyl Takeover. The Collapse of the Masonry Industry.
To truly see how this snowballed into an industry-wide catastrophe, you have to understand one fundamental truth about brick. Brick cannot be rushed. It requires a highly skilled, trained mason mixing mortar perfectly, carefully placing each individual block by hand, one by one. So when Levitt and his countless imitators across the country chose speed, the devastating consequence was that the entire traditional masonry industry virtually collapsed overnight. Consumer demand simply fell off a cliff. Century-old apprenticeship programs quietly died out because no one was hiring. Generations of local, family-owned brick manufacturers simply vanished from the map. But there was a catch. These new wood-framed houses still needed to be protected from the harsh elements. Enter Crane Plastics in 1958. They introduced the earliest versions of vinyl siding. Now, full transparency, at first it was a totally flawed product. It cracked in the freezing winter cold, it faded terribly in the summer sun, but fast forward to the 1970s and 80s, and the chemical engineering had evolved massively. So the absolutely crucial point here is that vinyl became an unarguable, rot-free standard. It didn't need a fresh coat of paint every few years, and a single, relatively unskilled contractor could clad an entire two-story house in just one day.
By the time we hit the year 2000, the statistical victory of speed over substance was absolute. It wasn't even a competition anymore. Just looking at the data for new American homes at the turn of the millennium, 40% were wrapped entirely in factory extruded vinyl. Traditional brick had completely plummeted to just 20%. The heavy, historic, 300-year traditional home had been completely, utterly dethroned by cheap, lightweight materials and the relentless, insatiable demand for rapid suburban expansion.
Section 4. Built to Expire. The Brick Costume. Which brings us to the darkest, most deceptive secret of the modern American suburb. It's something you literally look at every day without realizing it. Most of the homes you see today that actually look like brick are lying to you. Let's shatter the illusion completely. What you are seeing on a modern suburban house is almost never a structural brick wall. It is what's called a brick veneer. A 1-inch thick costume. It's just a layer of thin tiles mechanically tied to the outside of a standard, cheap wood frame wall. It provides absolutely zero structural support. None. It doesn't carry a single ounce of the house's actual weight. It is pure, unfiltered decoration, specifically meant to mimic the permanence and prestige of the 1930s, while secretly maintaining the cheap, throwaway speed of the 1950s. If you were to take a sledgehammer and violently tear this entire brick costume off the side of the house, the wood frame structure behind it would still stand perfectly fine. The brick is doing absolutely nothing. The soul of the masonry house, the very fact that the brick was the house, has been completely hollowed out.
Now you might be thinking, okay, so what? It looks nice. But the consequences of this architectural deception are far more severe than just aesthetics. Contrast the lifespan here. A genuine, solid, structural brick Philadelphia row house can easily last 300 years with practically no major structural repairs. They are absolute fortresses. But the modern American wood frame home, wrapped in its costume, it is generally only expected to last 50 to 100 years. And honestly, that is only if you manage to perfectly keep the moisture out. When water inevitably sneaks behind that perfect, maintenance-free vinyl or brick veneer facade, it gets trapped. It has nowhere to go. You end up with insidious, invisible rot, destroying the wooden skeleton of the house from the inside out, completely hidden from view. And this isn't just a theoretical problem for structural engineers to worry about. In places like Pennsylvania, major corporate home builders have faced massive, multi-million-dollar lawsuits because brand new, beautiful-looking houses are literally disintegrating behind their perfect costumes.
There is a quote that says, "The houses built to last a lifetime became the model for houses built to last a mortgage." And I think that perfectly, hauntingly captures the tragic philosophical trade-off we made during that desperate emergency back in 1947. We had to house millions of returning heroes. We had a crisis, and we had to do it fast. But in solving that temporary, desperate crisis, we accidentally made the temporary permanent. We completely sacrificed the very concept of legacy. Today, if you actually wanted to build a true, full structural masonry home the way they did in the 30s, it would cost you roughly triple what wood framing does. The vast infrastructure of craftsmen and local kilns required to do it affordably, it's just gone. Evaporated.
You see, we didn't abandon the brick house because it failed us. It never failed us. We abandoned it because in one single, urgent, high-stakes moment in American history, we chose speed over permanence. We chose the illusion over the reality, and we simply never went back. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you have a free afternoon, go take a walk through any pre-war neighborhood in your city. Walk up to those solid, heavy old houses. Reach out and actually touch the masonry. Feel how cold and dense it is. They're still standing there, unmoving, doing exactly what they were built to do, outlasting the generations that built them. It is a sobering, almost melancholy reminder of the gravity, the brilliant craftsmanship, and the profound sense of permanence that we lost along the way.
Which leaves us with a pretty haunting realization to walk away with. Maybe the real mystery we uncovered in this explainer isn't why we stopped building them. Maybe the real, unsettling question is, why are we still completely okay with building neighborhoods designed to expire? Thank you for watching World Explain. See you in the next video.